Hi, welcome back to Psychic Grandma's channel. Thank you for hanging in there with me. In this video, I would like to discuss, um, well, first of all, I want to say no one, and I mean no one, is more special than anybody else. Everyone has their own role to fulfill their higher power. And what I mean by that is like finding your calling. Everybody. That's why I said nobody is more special than anybody else. Everybody on this planet has a role to fulfill for their higher power. Some people might be mediums. Some people might be in the musical, world and very famous, or actress, or a doctor, or teacher, nurse, firefighter, police, whatever the role is, or healer, or you do Reiki. Everybody has a gift and what their purpose is. A lot of people know what their purpose is and they're already doing their purpose. Like, for example, myself. I realize I'm a medium, a psychic, and I'm doing that. So I'm trying to fulfill my role here on Earth. That's my calling. And then somebody else who might be a surgeon. They're doing their part. They're doing their role to try to save a life. So no matter what you do, if it's just not just, but if you're a hairdresser, that's your role. If that's your calling and you've been doing it for years and you love it, it's not just paying a bill, your bills. But you do enjoy it. You love talking to your clients. You love, trying to get new ideas for styles of hair, how to cut it or how to set it, whatever. But you're making somebody feel good. You make their day. You make their week. For example, I'm like so grateful for the person I went to see, my hairdresser, that I went for the very first time, and trust me, maybe you could tell over haircuts, but for years I was trying to cut my own hair because I just never liked how somebody cut my hair. I think out of like 65 years, I liked it 2 times where somebody cut my hair and then I would go back to them and they would just mess it up. They wouldn't do the same style of haircut that I would like. They did it good the first time, but not the second time. But, so I mostly just started just cutting my own hair to save money, and because I never liked it anyways, and I didn't want to pay all that money for something that I wasn't going to like. I'd rather just cut my own hair and don't like it. Right? Anyways, I got tired of that, and I said, you know what, I really need a haircut. So I went, and oh my God, this lady was so good. I really, really like her. So I'm crossing my fingers. The next time I go, I'll still really like it. But she made me feel good, not just for that day, but she made me feel good for a whole month. You know what I mean? And that means a lot. It really, really means a lot. So everybody has their own calling, and their own purpose. And like I said, no matter if you're a surgeon, a medium, you cut hair, whatever, a teacher, nobody's better than anybody else. But everybody has their purpose here on Earth, on top of, sending out, loving each other and learning our experiences. And like I said, earlier in this video, some people know they found their calling, like I did. But there is some people out there that feels lost and they don't know what they want to be. Meaning they never found their calling. They didn't find their purpose yet, and that's okay. I mean, geez, I mean, I was a psychic since I was 7 years old. I didn't know I was a medium. I didn't even know what mediumship was back in them days, back in the early 70s, late 60s. But and then I'm raising my two sons. So I was all wrapped up in that, like, trying to survive, raising my two sons by myself and all this stuff. So I really didn't think much of the spiritual world. I would have things happen, but I kind of let it like over my head, because I was just so stressed out about other things in my life. Until I was 40 something, 48, something like that. I lose count after a while. Then I realized I was a medium because my kids were grown up by then, so I wasn't so stressed out. So the spiritual world was showing itself again to me. Not, because it was showing itself back when I was in my early 20s. But I didn't understand what was going on, and I didn't put much thought into it. Like I said, I was just worried about surviving. Like I left home when I was 16, so I was just so wrapped up in that stuff, what was going on in my life. But like I said, when I was about 48, something like that, then the spiritual world was hitting me right in the face, like, hello, it's time, this is your time. So it took me that long to figure out what my calling was. So, the universe or God, whoever you believe in, will come to you. So don't, come to you when the time is right. So don't be so hard on yourself if you don't know what your calling is, And actually, I wish I knew this a long time ago, but like I said, I was so wrapped up in surviving that I didn't think about the spiritual stuff. But if I knew this back then, maybe I would have tried it and it would have made it a little easier for me, and I would have maybe, tapped into that world a little bit sooner. On the other hand, maybe it just wasn't meant to be at that time. But I just want to throw this out to all of you. If you're still wondering what your purpose is for your higher power, where your role is in this world, meditate, pray, and ask your guides to guide you, and try to get an answer that way, because they might show you. It might not happen that second when you're meditating or praying to your higher power, and to ask, even a guide to come in and help you. Really study that stuff. If you really want to work on that, do some research, because you should find out who your guide is anyways, and talk to them, because they become friends, somebody that you can really count on. I don't know about you, and I don't want to sound negative or anything like that, but I really count on my main guide. I feel like he always has my back, more than any other person that's been on this planet that I know. You know what I mean? Because we're all human and we let each other down. That's only natural. That's why I said I don't want to sound negative or anything, but it's true. Humans can let each other down. But my main guide, he always has my back. So I really believe, if you can find out who your main guide is and meditate and find out, then that might be a little easier and quicker for you to find out what's your purpose here on Earth. Because to be really honest, once you do find your purpose, and you can ask anybody who did find their purpose, you have this feeling of fulfillment inside your soul. And the other thing is, it don't feel like work. Like they say, if you love what you're doing, it's not work. And that is so freaking true. It don't feel like work because you're doing your calling. Okay? But that's a good thing talking about that, because let's say, I don't know, whatever you're doing right now, and you're just not happy and you're miserable. Well, that's a red flag. You didn't find your calling yet. Okay? So that's like saying, maybe you should really put some more thought into it. Maybe you always had a dream to open up your own business, but you've been working in a factory, say, for example. Um, and then, so if you're so miserable in this factory, say, um, then that's telling you that's not your place to be. And if it keeps pulling at you and pulling at you, and it's just every day is getting more and more of a struggle, that's the universe or your higher power is trying to pull to you and tell you it's time to move on. It's time for your soul to grow a little bit more, to find your role here on earth. Um, so then maybe you might suddenly, have this confidence too, like, you know what, I'm going to do what I always wanted to do. I'm going to open up my own business. It's a restaurant or whatever you want to open up. Or like, a clothes store, a store with clothes, whatever. And then you're really happy when you did that. That's your calling. Okay? So these are signs to watch for. How miserable are you where you're working right now? If you're miserable, the universe is trying to tell you, get out of that. Move on. Find a new job. Put resumes out. Or really start thinking about your calling. Let's say you're the type of person that never even thought about a calling. You just, got your first job at 17, 18 years old, whatever, and you're doing it, you're doing your job. But then it's all right for a while. But then you get that feeling like, you're very unhappy. You're miserable. That's the universe telling you to move on, get another job. Even if it's not your calling, it's a warning, like a red flag. It's time for your soul to move on, okay? So get something new. Life is short. Don't stay in a miserable job where you turn into a more negative person. Your white light inside you get dull. And it might be even causing trouble in your family, because you're just so unhappy. People don't listen to their inner voice, okay? And your inner voice could be like the universe trying to tell you something, or your loved ones on the other side trying to tell you something, or your guides. We all have a team. So if you pay attention to that, then you can get out of that bad situation more. Okay, some people, they're miserable and everything, and they think, well, this is my life, and they accept it. No, you don't have to accept it. Don't live in fear. Listen and do it. If something is telling you you're not happy, change it. You only have one life here on earth, okay, at this certain lifetime that you have. So even if you went through 3 jobs over the years, but you moved on and you got better, maybe you had like a higher pay rate or better benefits, or the people you're working with ain't jerks, or your boss ain't a jerk, whatever. Every situation gets better down the road. Well, and then maybe whenever, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and then you finally hit your calling. That's because you've been listening to your voice too, your inner calling, to move out of that job that you were so miserable at. And when you act on it and you listen, then your spiritual level goes higher. It like opens up your third eye just a little bit more. So, and then by the time when you get to your calling, it could be the universe saying to you, okay, you did well, you listened. Now you deserve to start, not just deserve it, but your soul is ready to do your role here in the physical world, your calling. So I hope all this helped you a little bit more. So that's how you can try to find your role here to fulfill your higher power. It's hard to find more happiness and become who you're supposed to be, because we're all special, like I said, and nobody's better than anybody else. It's just some people find their calling a little sooner than other people. But the people who don't find it right away, don't be hard on yourself. It's just your journey, your soul that has to find your calling. But you can kind of help a little bit, like I said, by meditating to find out who is your guide and ask your guide to guide you to your calling, to your role. Or if you don't want to talk to a guide, just pray to God, your higher power, and ask Him to show you your path. Okay? If you believe, anything is possible. God bless you all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. God bless. Please pass that white light forward. I love you all. Bye-bye.